Hey everyone, Evan Kirstel today with a great discussion on the future of retail and retail tech with VMware. Hey Ed Durbin, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for this discussion because I'm a techie, but retail is a new industry for me. So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. And you've been around the block a few times, including at the big NRF show last week, National Retail Federation show. So maybe before we jump in, introduce yourself and your role at VMware.
Sure. Ed Durbin. They call me Mr. Retail at VMware. I've been in retail all my life. I like to tell people I have worked for multiple retailers before coming over to VMware. I've helped take a retail company public, retail technology company public. So I call myself a retailer because I've worked in stores, distribution centers, corporate offices. So if you haven't been screamed and yelled at by a customer or unloaded a truck or done inventory, you haven't done retail. So at VMware, I'm the global director for retail. So I work with all our fantastic global retailers all over the world, and we help leverage VMware's offerings into solving their problems. Talking to them in the language of their problems to help them try to figure out what the problem is and what type of outcomes they're looking for, and how VMware can help them. So it's been a great
Fantastic.
job, and I have a lot of passion for retail, as you'll probably pick up on.
So you don't just throw buzzwords like Kubernetes and hybrid cloud and at them. Okay, just checking.
No, because
So
if you
you,
do that, they go, you could go down the hall. The data center's over there. The app manager's over there. You can't help me. And, meeting's over. So there you
I
go.
love
Good
that.
point.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you're coming off the back of NRF. I was not there, but I was watching from afar. Tell us about the buzz at the show. How was it? Well attended. What were you seeing on the ground, as it were?
Well, first off, let's just say if we were counting how many NRFs I've done, I think I'd be a platinum premier gold executive member of the NRF club. So I've done a few. I think the buzz at NRF was reunion. It's been
Mm.
several years, 3 years. So a lot of the events were like, "Hey, haven't seen you in 3 years." So
Wow.
it was a great healing event. But I think the buzz at NRF was, a lot in the past. It was always like, "Let's go sell to retailers." I think a lot of companies are like, let's help you solve the problems of your customer. So I felt like there was more focus on how do we help retailers with their customers, whether it's personalization or whether it's through our analytics or whatever. It was in the past, it was like, I'm going to go sell something to a retailer. No, now it was more of like, let's go help that retailer, help them with their customer. And that was very welcome because you didn't, you saw that, but not a lot of it. I think that was a focus at this NRF.
That's fantastic, and I love the theme there around helping customers, helping people. So where are we now in the retail space? Best of times, worst of times, somewhere in between. Hopefully, when it comes to tech and in-store, innovation. What's the word from NRF? What are people looking for, and what are the challenges they're trying to overcome exactly?
Well, today's retailer, as I like to say, you can't just run a phone line to a store and suck down POS data.
Hmm.
You need, retail edge. You need the power and compute at the edge, because I have a slide which I believe you have a copy of that shows all the technology that's in a retail store today. Now, every retailer isn't doing it. There's no way they can do it all. But if a retailer is going to support self checkout, if they're going to support loss prevention, if they're going to support IoT, if they're going to all these different things that the retailer needs to support, magic mirrors, omni channel, you can't do that by running a line back to the data center and hopefully be supported. You need a slice of that data center in that store. So retailers today are grappling with, what does that look like? I have small stores, medium stores, large stores, very large stores. What does that mean that I need in my stores to support all that new technology that consumers, and let's face it, we're all consumers here, that consumers are demanding?
Absolutely. I love going into a store and seeing some of this tech on display as a consumer or on display at NRF. But where do you start as a retailer? Because there's just so much technology, it's quite the smorgasbord. How do you prioritize and manage those technologies and stack rank them, sort of thing?
Well, retailers today are dealing with, even though it's a term I've been using for a long time, but it seems to be very popular these days. Retailers are trying to figure out, how do I eliminate the friction for my consumers to consume? How do I get them in quicker, faster, offer them what they want, personalize offers, but make them happy? But at the same time, how do I enable my employees to help eliminate the friction to help the consumer to consume? How do I put tools at their fingertips to be able to help the consumer that's in the store? And so, I'm not talking about any technology right now. I'm just talking about, how do I, one retailer says, how do I help my consumer? How do I figure out how I can sell them more cans of corn? And so, retailers today are focused on, how do I get my consumer to consume more? And so let's just take a hard look at that. And then that's where a lot of retailers are like, how do I do that? And then how do I help the people in the stores? I mean, it's public. I mean, Walmart went out and bought 740,000 phones and gave them to their employees. And on
Wow.
that phone are applications to help the consumer to consume. So there's a big focus on that today, where in previous years, not so much. So that's very eye-opening today.
Yeah, it is eye opening indeed. And you had some interesting announcements on the tech front, so we'll get techie for a minute. One was around a new approach to point of sale, one of the bigger frustrations and the more antiquated areas of retail. What was all of that all about?
Well, again, going back to our customers and talking to them about, the problems that they have and the outcomes that they desire. The problem that they have is they have retail POS that, on average they say, oh, the retail POS is 5 to 6 years old. Yeah, right. It's 10
Average,
years old.
yes.
What average is that? It's 10 years old. It's 20 years old. So how do
Mm,
I take the investment, huge investment, and when a retailer has 20,000 lanes or 30,000 or 90,000 lanes, how do I leverage that technology? So how do I go in there and allow a centralized point of sale system to be supported across my chain? And that's where the modernization of the POS systems is what VMware is offering today. Again, going back to that, how do we help them be foundational on the tools they already use from VMware to be transformational? So this isn't something that we're going to retailers saying, oh, this is a whole new product set. No, it's enabling them to use the tools that they're using today from VMware, whether it's Workspace ONE, whether it's Horizon, which is the VDI tool, or a multi-cloud tool, to be able to go in there and use those tools today to update their POS. Because some of the retailers are working with are seeing phenomenal operational costs. Because let's remember, if it's on prem and a lane goes down, you got to put a man in the van or a plane,
mm,
guy on a plane to Saskatchewan to go to uh, you know upload and fix that POS. We're now in a virtualized world. They're up and running in 15 to 18 minutes. Now let's take a look at the customer experience. So you got these massive, massive grocery chains that have 20, 30 lanes. And suddenly on a Saturday morning, a lane goes down and it's closed for several days. That's a huge financial
mm.
impact of the retailer. But if they can bring it back up in 15 minutes, 18 minutes, that's a great savings for them that they didn't lose. And it's also very positive on the customer experience side. So we're seeing a huge interest in this offering, not just from our customers, but I belong to a strategic ecosystem industry solutions group. So the GSIs are all over it. The hyperscalers are all over it. The ISVs, our partners, everybody sees this. I have a retailer that's a customer. This is something that they're asking me as a solution. So we're getting a lot of traction since that announcement.
That's great. Of course, you're like Switzerland. You're in the middle of it all at VMware. Um,
Absolutely.
t- yeah, tell me about employee experience, because customer experience we're always focused on, but this has been a really challenging time for the retail employees, both the front of store employees, the back office, the IT people as well. How do we keep them from quitting? How do we automate more? How do we make their lives easier?
Well, the number one reason why somebody leaves a retailer, and I'm talking about the people that work in the stores, they say, my company doesn't love me, my company doesn't notice
Mm.
me, my company doesn't care about me. So let's try to figure out a way, and that's one of the great things that the great, Walmart is doing. Let's put a device in their hand, whether it's our device or your device, that has applications that can be pushed down to it, that helps them manage their task management, help their scheduling, help them see their paycheck, help them figure out what their benefits are. Get that connection, that one-to-one connection that retailers need to have with their employees. Because once they make that one-to-one connection, then that employee's happy. We're working with retailers that are dealing with 60 and 70% turnover rate. That's costing retailers millions of dollars in training and going out and getting somebody. So let's try to put some tools in the hands of the employees, make them happier so they stick around.
Yeah, that's really, really exciting. What's your take on the retail landscape this year? I mean, we've got the looming R word for recession. We've got, inflation. We got supply chain challenges. Lots of issues to deal with. What were some of the themes at NRF that kind of
Well,
you saw again and again?
Well, again, walking the halls, and then, a lot of people that used to be on the lower level are now on the upper level
Mm,
because they've embraced new price points. I mean, whether it's robots everywhere, and then
mm,
everybody's coming out with electronic shelf labeling. Where a few years ago you would only see that in like the Microsoft booth or the IBM, because that's so
right.
expensive, these technologies. Well, guess what? Technologies are getting cheaper by the day. So you had multiple people out there offering electronic shelf labeling, which enables a retailer to be able to, better update their pricing, keep it in sync with the POS system, and get rid of having to have people walk around with, little guns updating prices on the shelves. So that's another customer experience positive, but it's at a price point that's a little bit more affordable than it was a few years ago.
I love that. Yeah, economy of scale is key. I heard you talking about the retail experience in healthcare. Increasingly, we're seeing, everyone from Walmart to CVS to Walgreens embrace, healthcare services, and this is real. This is very much needed. But of course, there's security issues around that, and privacy and identity and encryption. Tell us about the security. That must be a topic, one of the top two, three topics with customers. Correct?
Well, absolutely, absolutely. Zero trust is no trust.
Hmm.
It's interesting because you bring up the whole idea of the buzzword now is the retailization of healthcare, because
Hmm.
you have the CVSs. CVS came out and said we're not a retailer anymore; we're a healthcare provider.
That's
Walgreens is
wild.
doing the same thing. Walmart wants to have destination Walmart, where you go in there and but you have your banking, because Walmart's bought a few fintechs, but then you also have the healthcare provider. So after I go to Walmart and I get my healthcare needs, maybe I'm pre-diabetic, and they say, you know what, you need to change your diet. Here's discount coupons and suggestions on how you need to change your diet. Go out in the store, buy your produce or the low sugar items in the store, and but while you're there, here's some discounting to be able to enable you. So you're starting to see more and more of that. But then, retail today is PCI. Well, healthcare is HIPAA. And so, we need to be able to make sure that the security side is protecting, whether it's PCI, whether it's PII, or whether it's HIPAA. So we have to work with our customers to make sure that all of that is taken into consideration as they expand into their retail locations and offer financial service, offer healthcare, and of course, grow on the retail footprint that they already have.
Absolutely. I know you're not just supposed to talk about favorite children, but do you have some favorite clients out there that you work with? I imagine, is it who's who? I imagine in retail, or are they sort of behind the scenes, behind the systems integrators and managed service providers and telcos?
No, I'll be honest, and I've said this in previous interviews and whatnot. Love Nike. I love the personalization of Nike
Hmm.
because, I mean, first off, they're a phenomenal customer of ours and great
Okay.
people. But what I like about Nike, I have the Nike app on my phone, and no matter what Nike I walk in anywhere in the world, within a nanosecond of walking in, their local network picks up Ed Durbin's in the house.
Wow.
And I get this
Nice.
little, I did this a few weeks ago in New York City. Hey, Ed, welcome to the Fifth Avenue Innovation Center. It's been a while since you've been here. Here's some things on floor three you might be interested in. By the way, since you have my credit card number, if you want to do no touch purchasing, scan it, bag it, go and check out, show that you paid for it, and somebody will let you out. And so I love the idea of the personalization that Nike has. I know a lot of people are big on personalization, but I love what they do. I love the whole idea of the Amazon Go. I know that they're going to be opening less stores, but now they're selling that technology. Can you imagine how many times have you been running through an airport and all you want to do is get a bottle of water? And when you go up to check out, there's 20 people in line. It's like, oh my. Where now, I think there's JFK and LaGuardia, a bunch of the different airports are now offering. You put your credit card in, there's your identifier. You walk in, take what you want, and you walk out. I love that. And I think you're going to see that all over the place. So I
Yeah,
love the new
convenience is
technologies. I
king.
love the capabilities. Huh?
Yeah, convenience is king. Seamless, travel through an airport. What a great use case.
Oh,
You mentioned
absolutely.
Amazon, the big A word. Tell
Yeah.
me, e-commerce, we saw this massive surge over the pandemic, a little bit of retrenchment now that people are getting out more. What's the balancing act between online e-commerce and in-store retail, and what was the buzz at the show around what's next for online?
Well, the buzz around around NRF. Yes, online is growing, but guess what, people? People still go into the brick and mortars. I want to taste it. I want to feel
Guilty
it.
as
I want to
charged.
touch it. Absolutely. But you know what? I don't need to see or well, I'll touch it later. Toilet paper, our dog food, our diapers, our
Right,
your
right.
basic items, which I do today. But you know what? I still walk in the store. I still walk in the Nordstrom. I still walk in the Macy's because I want to see what's out there in the
Mm-hmm.
small little stores. No matter where I travel, and I travel a lot, I'm always going into no matter where I go, I said, what's the largest shopping mall? I was just in London. I went to the Westfield Mall. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest in Europe. But I also go to Harrods. I also go to Fortnum and Mason. I have to be there. I want to feel that vibe. I can't just sit there at my laptop and order stuff or on my phone, order stuff and watch it come in. No, I got to be out there. I got to be out there with the people.
So fun. Well, Harrods is one of my favorite. What an amazing in-store experience. So, what are you most excited about, Ed, over the next few weeks and months? Any particular travel? NRF was kind of the big event, but you're doing a lot out there in the industry. What's next?
Well, I think what's next is the fact that the retailers are taking a hard look at what us consumers, and we're all consumers on this call, what we need moving forward, what we demand moving forward, whether it's online or in the stores. So retailers need to take a hard look at how they can bring technologies, whether it's online or in the stores, to make the consumer happy, to eliminate the friction of the consumer to consume. And I think that's what retailers are going to be focusing on. VMware is in a great place again, foundationally, to help our customers transformationally. We're in a great place to be able to do that. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more technologies out in the stores moving forward.
All right. Well, can't wait. Thank you so much for joining me. Your enthusiasm is infectious. Really enjoyed chatting with you. And thanks, everyone, for viewing. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.